This episode's road trip vehicle, 1995 Ford Escort LX Wagon, 1.9-liter fuel-injected 4-cylinder. Today on Road Trips, we're asking viewers, are you road trip ready? Join us as we show you how to prepare for your own journey. So now, let's pop the hood. Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Road Trips. I'm Todd Hilton.
And I'm Dan Bradley.
And today's trip is going to be a little bit different from what you're used to.
We're going to teach you the ins and outs of actual road trips. We're going to show you from how our setup and to double check to make sure your vehicle's in proper working order.
So
close to proper working order.
So this is our, in this show, we're going to be asking the question, are you road trips ready?
As you may recognize the old station over here.
Yes.
At Mays Plaza, we're going to actually enjoy the new one.
Yeah. So we're going to drive to the new Channel 9. Actually, new, moved in about 2 years ago, over to St. Helens High School, where we're going to be taking you. And that's where we're going to be doing our show today.
It's going to be interesting and fun at the same time.
Yes.
Oops.
And also, I figured this will give you folks out there a chance to, in case you folks don't know where the studio is. It was in Mays Plaza for quite a long time. Since it moved into Mays Plaza in '92. We moved out in 97. Yeah, 97 is when we moved out. So the station's actually been in at St. Helens High School for about 2 years now. Moved in there, I think it was summer of 97 when we moved out. Hard to believe it's been that long, but and another thing, it is currently raining.
Yes.
No, what better day to do this kind of a show?
Yes. In case you hadn't noticed, one of our improvements to the show you're currently enjoying right now, and that's called the new camera tripod setup.
Yes, I did mention that in one of the last recordings that I did for the show.
Yes.
Is it tipping?
Yeah, it decided to lunge backwards.
Lunge backwards? Well, okay, maybe we got the side taken care of, maybe not the backwards. I don't think it's going to tip all the way over, or if it tips, it'll
tip back enough to really notice. You'll see.
Maybe
we might have to take a take two on this one. Nah.
No, I think we'll be okay.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, good. Yeah. We're currently heading, I always forget if it's east or south, on Highway 30.
We're heading to Portland.
Yes. Yes, we're heading to Portland. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to say west. East.
Yeah, west. Another coast show, dude? Oh, man.
No, we're heading east.
Cruising at a steady speed of
85
miles an hour.
No, look, there's a car. Hey.
And still people are passing us. Which is very sad. Yeah, we're just about to pass Burgerville. Yeah, those of you folks out there who are familiar with St. Helens, which usually most people who've seen our show are, yes, there's many cars that look like this. Which it makes us blend in, so it's like, shh, it's just road trips coming through. No one's supposed to know it's us. We're in disguise. Okay, we're taking a right onto Gable Road.
It's in Clark
Gable Road, between the Safeway and U.S. Bank. We're going up here just a little bit. Now we're driving past St. Helens High School, taking a left.
Oh man, I'm trying to get to high school. You know, I graduated here. How many years ago? From high school? I mean, you take me back. What's the matter with you?
We didn't graduate here. What are you talking about?
High school. We graduated from high school.
Oh, from high school in general. Yeah.
And you're taking me back to high school. What's the matter with you? How did you go back?
Oh.
No.
While I'm thinking of it, we were doing this earlier when we got set up a few minutes ago. I was showing Dan how the new camera setup works and seeing just how stable it is. So I'm going to do a little bit of that right now, folks. Don't worry, I'm a professional stunt driver. Don't try this at home. Whoop.
Yeah, he just knocked the camera over.
Boop. Okay.
Easy fix.
Easy fix. Okay, that's about enough testing there. But anyway, the point is the camera setup is a lot more stable than it used to be when we used the duct tape thing.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Duct Tape.
Mr. Duct Tape.
Which we've since fired. We don't require the services of Mr. Duct Tape any longer.
We don't like Mr. Duct Tape anymore.
Yes. And here we are at CCTV, the new studio.
Well, you see where we drive into, and then the door's over here.
Obviously.
Actually, it's over there, but it's over
that
there.
goes to the wood shop, dude.
It's
yeah.
that way. Whoops. Sorry.
Yeah. You can see the station by the CCTV logo on the door and above the door. Used to be the agriculture shop, which
I'm sorry.
anyone from around here knows that there just aren't that many farmers around anymore. Not around here.
Not just loggers.
Loggers with computers.
Yeah.
So there's no they canceled they no longer teach the class of agriculture, so they had an empty shop that the station was allowed to move into.
Yeah, they were stupid enough to give it to us. I mean.
So it's a lot larger facility, which is really nice. We've got a nice big studio, a lot bigger control room.
Oh yeah.
And it brought the temperature down a good, maybe 20 degrees.
And for those of you who absolutely enjoy driving into a school, this is a perfect opportunity to do just that.
This is the only place you can do it.
Unless you're crazy, and then...
Well, unless you got another auto shop or something like that. But
Yeah.
What other TV station do you know of where you can just drive in and do a show?
Then check out all your future ex-wives. I mean, you know.
Okay, so we're going to step out. And actually,
Open the door.
yeah, we're gonna go open the bay door so we can drive in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oops.
Oops.
Nobody saw that.
Nobody saw. Nobody saw that. Put it on your belt, dude. We're only going. Okay. Why bother? Yes, this is a little unusual, but actually, you road trips fans out there might remember our live show, which we did the same thing.
Absolutely.
Drove into the studio.
Except we were using a white vehicle. I mean, this car just changed the colors.
Oh, yeah. So we're just going to pull in somewhere about here, watch the satellite dish.
You might be able to see the edge of our new
hot tub. And I may turn off the motor before we asphyxiate ourselves.
Damn.
Okay, now we're gonna step out. Okay, we're gonna leave the camera rolling here.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah, if you want to go ahead and pull out the tripod. So if we're gonna do this, we're gonna start from scratch so everybody can see exactly how we do this. And I've attempted to clean out the car as best I can.
This is the tripod, people.
Yes. And as we were explaining, we've set two of the tripod legs in wide.
These two?
Yeah.
These two here would sit on the seat. That one would sit on the hub in the middle, and this would...
And this would hit you between the legs.
Yeah.
Something like that, yes. So that's only one small part of the setup that we do. Actually,
small part for road trips.
yes. One emergency you always got to count on is a possibility of having
A flat tire.
flat tire. So it's a good idea to have at least one person who knows how to change one.
And if you don't have a person who knows how to change one, check your owner's manual.
If you have one.
If you have one, it's guaranteed that it tells you exactly how to change a tire.
Yeah. Some of your older vehicles may have a full-size tire, but in a lot of these newer cars, like ours here,
It's
more than likely it's got a
donut.
donut.
Most of your newer cars, you'll find that the tire's in the back,
Yeah,
underneath everything.
yeah.
So you gotta clear it all out. Yeah.
And while a donut may get you to a gas station, it's not going to get you home. You don't want to be driving a whole long ways on a donut. You got cream filled in there, dude? Thanks.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea of what a donut looks like.
Yeah, it's another thing that we've also referred to as a Mickey Mouse tire.
Yes.
This is a donut. As we said, most of your newer cars are equipped with one of these. Not too great, but but it will get you somewhere in case of an emergency that you have a flat.
These donuts are pretty tough.
Yeah,
They're pretty tough.
yeah. And another drawback I think is they
You can't go over 45 miles an hour.
right.
But it's just not recommended.
Yeah.
Of course, you probably could, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I think we've done it before.
Yeah.
On one of our unseen road trips that Dan and I have done. But
It's thoroughly not recommended to go over 45 miles an hour when you're driving this car using a donut.
yes. But yeah, once you get your tire, and then somewhere nearby should be all the rest of the equipment you need. In which case, there's a little hidden compartment. It has has your jack, your lug wrench, and this little doohickey.
Thingamajiggy.
The thingamajiggy. Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like a doohickey.
Usually you'll find that most of your jacks are actually screwed or bolted into the
Now this one's definitely screwed.
with one of...
Oh,
Here's
well, okay. Okay. So yeah, this your access to your jack here. One thing that I know I would recommend, I think Dan would too, is if necessary, go with the jack you got. But even better if you have a
floor jack.
Yeah, hydraulic jack. Best way to go. One thing for sure, I think they're gonna get your vehicle higher off the ground. Not that matters, but
They're easier to use.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to sit there and with floor jack. You just boop, 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 up it goes.
This is your lug wrench.
Yes. There's another one. I would as far as lug wrenches.
I would go with the crossbar.
Yeah, get one of the crossbars that way.
Actually look like an X with 4 of these on the inside.
Yeah, have 4 different sizes of wrenches, and that way you could carry that in any vehicle. And
But I don't recommend throwing the one that comes with your car away, especially with these newer vehicles, because you have those hubcaps.
yeah,
You
there's
pop
some.
them off, and that's
yeah.
what these are good for. All right, this part here, the pointy end, goes to remove
Hubcap.
the hubcap. And you will position it here between the rim and the hubcap and pop it off.
Most of them come off pretty easy.
The other ones you have to kind of work them
Yeah,
around.
you kind of work it kind of like a paint can, like the top of a paint can. You gotta pry it loose there.
You get your lug nuts, which those will fit on. Basically what you do is you crack your lug nuts while the car is on the ground. Gives you more weight on the car.
Right, that's one thing even I've forgotten sometimes. Get the especially if it's on like this is a front wheel drive, so that means the rear wheels spin freely, no matter what gear you're in.
Yeah, so you have to crack. It's best. It's safer for you. It's safer for the car. It's safer for everything. If you crack the nuts while they're on the ground.
Another thing, if you got the wheel up off the ground when you're trying to loosen the nuts, your wheel's gonna spin, and you won't have any leverage to get them loose. This is another reason why we recommended a hydraulic jack. Is you can use a hydraulic jack pretty much anywhere. You could run it under the axle, under any part of the frame, anything that's sturdy. Whereas one of these model specific jacks, you've got to put it in a very
Specific spot. Well, usually
yeah.
with you have your ring where your
Little crank thing.
handle
Yeah.
goes, and that's usually best to have it on the outside,
Yeah,
so that way when you slide it in, they go in here. This here looks like it's specifically made for this type of model, so it's got like a little dip here, a little hole, so when you slide it underneath your car, you kind of want it hooked onto the frame of the car.
Yeah,
Not
it's
to
gonna,
the edge
it's
of
gonna
the car.
lock into this.
Not to the edge of the car.
Right, especially
But
on
to the
these,
frame.
which are half plastic,
in half.
rubber, and
Aluminum.
only like 30% metal. You know?
Yeah.
So.
It's usually best to have it in front of the tire.
Yeah, in front of the back tire or behind the front tire.
Yeah.
Most people probably know how to change a tire, but on a road trip, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Okay, now securely underneath the car. It's where it's supposed to be, underneath the frame of the car. So that way it's not going to do any slipping.
And so this particular one requires. Here we go.
One of the best bets here would be to.
Am I doing this right?
Usually it would be best to sit like this. You get more of a
Oh, there we go.
repetitive motion going.
Learn something new every day.
And quite frankly, you lift your car to
Until your spare tire falls off. Yeah, and then you know you're there.
When you're lifting your car up to change your tire, basically what you want to do is if your tire was full, you want to lift it up enough to where you can slip your hands underneath the tire freely.
Right. That's another thing. If you got a flat tire, that means the car is going to be that much lower to the ground. And so when you put your fresh tire on, you want to make sure you've got enough
Something like
clearance. Enough clearance
So
to.
I've got enough to slide my hand underneath the tire.
So
Then that's when you proceed to take your lug nuts off, remove your tire, put your donut up there. It's usually best when you put on a brand new tire to stick your tire up at an angle this way, slide it up onto the first one, and then down onto the tire.
yeah. Or if you're one of the lucky ones who have a full-size tire and you're changing it, full-size tires can be pretty heavy, especially when you're down on the ground trying to lift it up.
Yes,
So
but it's best if you start with it heading
Start with
into the
start
car
with the top, basically.
and then come down. So that way you're guiding it with the weight of onto there.
Now, since in our second season we're going to places a lot farther away from home,
Like Reno is a good
like
one.
Reno, yeah. I actually went around and I did several checks, checked fluids, refilled when needed, checked all the tires, and we're going to go through a lot of that here in just a bit. Some of the basic procedures and just things to check before you go on a serious trip. And just in case you might have to take your car to a repair shop,
We do recommend a tow rope and 2 people to pull it.
and you pull it right in. Say, hey, can I get some service here? And that's how it's done.
Yeah. As with any car, you can have a front and a back.
In the front, this is where you're going to be checking all your fluids, which are vital to the engine's performance.
Yes.
So, let's start out by popping the hood. We're going to show you how to check these fluids and things you need to know about refilling the fluids. I was going to say, it should be just like yours.
Okay.
Drops over there. If you're lucky enough to have a car equipped with the hood struts instead of this little rinky-dink prop here, you're lucky.
You're lucky, yes.
Yes. This is a 4-cylinder.
Ah, it's an engine.
Yes. It's hot.
Okay,
Most vital fluid, probably.
it sure is one.
Earl.
Okay, for this particular car, because we're only going to show this particular car.
Yeah.
Actually, we can show you truck too. We don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
The oil, or Earl,
Earl, as we're going to call it.
in here.
Yeah. Actually, Ford has made this car actually pretty user-friendly. They've marked all your vital fluids with the
washer
oil.
fluid back there, your
Yeah.
oil here, your radiator coolant, your power steering fluid up there. Your battery's located here.
Master cylinder. You know, to this day, I don't know exactly where the tranny fluid is because I don't know. It's really weird. I think once I might have found it, but I wasn't sure. It's in a really strange spot. I think it was this little doohickey right here.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe
it.
that's the tranny stick.
It's
Okay.
usually sitting back
Right, but that's on a rear-wheel drive too. This is
Yeah.
front-wheel drive. So actually, if you turn the engine, because this is actually the front of the engine, which
Yeah,
if you
okay.
turn it, tranny's over here, so it'd be like that. So actually, that should be
So
it.
your transmission fluid is back there, right there in the
Yeah,
master.
and
cylinder.
I think on most front-wheel drives, it should be set up similar to that as far as placement of where transmission fluid is. Yeah.
Check the oil. We need paper towels.
This is another thing we recommend bringing on your road trip in case you need to check the oil or in the event you need to change the oil for some reason
Or to wipe a baby's butt.
or whatever the case may be.
When
Now-
you're finished, you go,
Right. And you go on with the next project. Now, oil, unlike transmission fluid, oil can be checked at any temperature.
hot or cold.
It's going to read about the same.
Engine oil.
Pull out your stick.
And never, ever trust the first time you pull it out.
All right. That's why you wipe it as soon as you pull out the dipstick. Wipe it off. Then,
Stick your stick up. As you can look here, you might use it on this. Tells you
I'll do a quick zoom on that there. You want to hold that still?
you can
Yeah.
read it down here. This is
Yeah.
all the
There'll
way up to
there'll
here.
be a little grid-looking section of it.
Right about here, so right about the top of the grid. That is full. Between the top of the grid and the bottom of the grid is 1 quart. If it reads down at the very base, you're going to need more than 1 quart. More than likely, you're going to need 2 just to bring it up to the bottom of the grid.
Yeah. You do want it to be somewhere within the grid.
You want it to be at least the middle or at the full line of the grid.
Yeah, somewhere in the grid, which in this particular dipstick, that grid is only about a ½ inch long. In other vehicles, that can be up to an inch, inch and a half. It all depends on the vehicle.
And when you test the oil, you push it firmly all the way in, so that way it's all the way down.
And you make sure you get
Get
an
an accurate
accurate reading.
Pull it out,
Pull out your stick.
and
Now.
that should be,
This is where you actually check it.
and it's,
It looks like
Full.
it's full. Yes.
so you're fine. Oil should be a caramel color. If it's darker than that, you do want to check it a little more often. If it's black, it's thoroughly recommended that you change it ASAP,
Yes.
because the darker the color, the less protection you're getting on your engine.
Right.
And the worse your engine will be later because you lose power, you'll end up...
Especially if
with
you're
your plugged in.
if you're going on a long trip, like during when we did the Reno trip, I made sure the oil was changed. Recommended on I think all vehicles you change your oil every 3,000 miles or either 3,000 miles or 3 months or something. That's not something like that is how they set it up.
Yeah, 3 months maximum if you drive from like around.
Yeah, they average.
Actually, if you drive around town, you might want to change a little bit more often because
you're
you have
doing
a
the
lot of
stop and go
stop and go
stuff.
traffic.
Mhm.
But if you're doing a lot of long haul, every 3,000 or 3 months.
Yeah, which
Just
usually
like
whichever
that.
comes first.
With your transmission fluid,
Something.
you test it after your car's been running 15 minutes. That's to make sure that your transmission fluid is hot
Yeah,
and is running through your system.
has to be at operating temperature, is what they say.
Basically 15 minutes to make sure that you've got your full operating thing going up. And
I believe you can test it while the car's running. Either it has to be running or it has to have been running within the last couple of minutes.
15 minutes. Let it run 15 minutes. You can shut it off, then test it, or keep it running and then test it. But it reads similar to the oil
Oral.
stick.
Yeah.
Very similar to it, but it's a little hard to read because your stick is black and your oil's fluid's kind of like a almost like a cherry color.
Yeah, it's a red. It's another thing I think we'll get into as far as transmission fluid. One very important thing, especially if you've got an older vehicle, not necessarily on a car like this, because this car is only about 4 years old, but if you have an older car, 70s, 80s, somewhere in there, a little more important that if you may have been experiencing some transmission problems, check the fluid and actually smell it. Because if you've got like a burnt smell, your tranny's fried. I've had that happen.
Most cases, I've ran into a few cases where all you needed to do was add a quart of transmission fluid and you're fine.
Yeah.
In very few cases.
Yeah. Usually, tranny fluid you're not going to have to mess with as much as Earl.
Yeah.
Usually.
But it is recommended
Unless you've
that
got
you
a
check
leak.
it.
Yes. So actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start the car, let it run for just a minute, and try to get it warmed back up. It hasn't been running for a while.
Girl!
Listen to that power.
Weakling.
What's that?
Weakling.
Yes. It is a four-banger, folks. Sorry about that. But also very good on gas mileage, especially when you're going on a long trip like we did in Reno, which was a 1,200-mile round trip.
Personally, I think we should take my truck 400 miles to the tank. This one's about 300.
On a good tank, about 350. On a good tank.
425.
Every motor's different. You may have two identical motors, and one may get better mileage than the other. Of course, also manual transmission vehicles get slightly better mileage than automatics. So I don't know how long we should let this run here. We don't want to let it run long enough to get a good reading, but also don't want it to run too long because we are in an enclosed environment and we will be suffocating soon.
Put on the pedal. That's about enough.
Okay.
Whew, man, too lightweight. What?
Tranny fluid, usually located, since this is a front wheel drive, as we said a minute ago.
Usually for a rear wheel, it should be sitting back here. But since we are looking at it from the
Side, yeah,
To the back.
since actually this is the front of the engine, so I would put the stick right about there. So I'm going to pull that out. Unlike the rest of the fluids, this one is not marked. Actually, it's not marked at all. I found this by accident because I went to check the tranny fluid. I think it was before Reno, and I couldn't find the stick. I looked all around. I was looking for something that was marked in the yellow like everything else was.
Hell no. This is Ford we're talking about here.
Yeah. Is your stick marked?
Should be.
Should be.
Better be.
Okay.
Wish I would look either.
And also, unlike the Earl, which goes in the top of the motor,
Where it
or
says engine oil. that's
yes,
what we put in.
or if you have a V type motor, V6 or V8, it's going to go into the valve cover. But the transmission fluid actually goes in
the stick where you actually check it at, which would be like, for
Yeah,
instance, the
and
engine
so
oil
in cases like that, you're definitely going to want a funnel for the tranny fluid.
definitely.
Earl you can usually get away with just dumping it right in, but the tranny fluid, because you have to put it in a little spout about that big around, you're going to want a funnel. And I don't see any kind of readings on here. I see the fluid, but I don't see it.
They have your readings for the notches, dude.
Are they?
Yeah, that's your readings for the notches.
Okay,
They're where you're supposed to be.
that's cool. It says between 20 degrees Celsius and 65 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that means because I only read Fahrenheit.
I'll convert it to Fahrenheit. There you go.
I don't know how to do it.
Oh my God.
Those are your two most vital engine fluids. Well, actually, there is one more vital fluid. Coolant, or antifreeze.
Which would be right here for this particular model of car.
Yes. This one is a little bit different. It's actually a very small container.
Did you already count? I should say how right about the full line.
Yeah.
So he's okay on that.
Yeah. As far as engine goes, well, actually, you want to get technical. Tranny is not engine, it's tranny. Yeah, but your two most vital engine fluids are Earl and
water.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now we've established that your car can go forward, your car has power, and your car can cool itself off.
Yes.
Now you got to make sure it can stop.
Yes.
So we have to check the brake fluid, which is in the.
I believe in just about at least every American vehicle, master cylinder.
Always in the back on the driver's side. Right against.
Pretty much. Mounted to the firewall. It looks like on the newer models, it's a little plastic container that has a brake fluid in it. On most of your newer cars, you're not going to have to check. Actually, on most cars, unless you've got fluid leaking, you should be okay. Okay. And actually, this, I don't even need to take the cap off. This particular model,
you can actually read it on the side because it is a clear plastic container.
Yeah.
Like your radiator.
Yeah, and if like this one, since it's plastic, I can shake it and see the fluid moving around in there, and it is at the max line. It has a minimum line and a maximum line. It's right at max. So that's good.
Safest spot where you can have your cover that. Okay.
So now, okay.
So basically established that your car can go. You have no problem shifting. Your car can cool itself off and stop
and it can stop.
Now, what about turning? You need to be able to turn.
Need to be able to steer. Brings us to our next fluid.
Power steering
fluid.
In this car, we're lucky enough, it actually sits out in front, right next to your radiator fluid. And that one also is in a clear plastic container.
Actually, I can't see nothing.
Oh boy, no, it's in
there. That is a very strange
it is in there.
Reservoir. Oh.
You got fluid in there.
We've got fluid.
And it looks like you are above.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never actually taken that out.
You're just below the full line.
Huh. Oh, which reminds me, very important point. Speaking of power steering fluid, there's one important thing folks need to know if you don't already know it. I know this because I work in an auto parts store. If you have a Honda takes a different power steering fluid than every other vehicle. There is a fluid specifically for Hondas. You don't want to put the regular stuff in your Honda, you'll mess something up.
Your best if you get to an auto parts store is actually go and ask questions.
Ask the experts.
I personally have an auto parts person, or I should say I have two people who do auto parts for me, and this guy's one of them.
Yeah.
The other guy actually works at CarQuest, but I don't mention CarQuest.
Yeah. Okay, so we've established.
Your car can go, your car can shift, your car can cool itself off, your car can stop, and you can turn your engine.
You can turn your
You
wheels.
can turn your car.
Yeah. Okay. I believe we're missing. Well, if we wanted to go into it as far as fluids, there's one other one.
Oh, you want to be able to see.
Yeah, you want to be able to see. But it's pouring down rain. You're behind a semi who's throwing
Spit
dirt
mud
all over your windshield.
Every time you turn on that thing, it just smears.
So,
windshield wiper fluid.
God forbid you should run out of washer fluid. You got to be able to see.
And with this car,
it's signified. It's actually signified. Yeah, my cap's broken. I gotta get that taken care of.
Oh, man, you need some washer fluid.
Yeah, the one fluid we can actually fill.
Yes.
Yeah, unlike the other fluids, this one is only marked with an icon, basically.
It's like a windshield with a little
fountain thing. The little fountain thing. Yeah.
Well, hey, actually, your engine oil is actually with Nikon too. It's got the cool.
What I notice is I am dumping fluid all over the reservoir here. Yeah, this one was low. Okay, there we go. Let's use up the rest of that. My cap's not going to fit too good. Okay.
All right. Basically, we've established all your fluids in your car just fine.
Okay, folks, let's review.
Engine oil.
Engine oil.
Checked here. Poured here. Power steering fluid is here. Radiator fluid. Windshield washer fluid is back here. Brake fluid is here in the master cylinder. Transmission fluid is right down here. And your battery.
Yes. Which also has fluid in it, but usually you don't have to service those. Yes. This is your review. Like I said, this is for this particular car. So if you happen to have a Ford Escort, should be similar to this. But actually, all cars are going to take the same kind of fluids. They all need oil. They all need tranny fluid. Well, unless you've got a manual transmission, then they take like gear oil. Is what they take. But you get the idea. Every car takes pretty much the same kind of fluids.
This is based on an automatic transmission. Automatic transmission for those lazy folk out there.
Yes. Okay, so that covers vital fluids and some of the
necessary parts for your car.
Yes.
Necessary deals for your car. At least under the hood.
Now we want to go into what we recommend you taking along with you in the event a road trip should occur. Okay. Now we're come to the part where now we're gonna go over some stuff that you should take on a road trip. Usually, anything where you're going any significant mileage from home. That includes any of your basic stuff here. Stuff to throw in the back of the car. Truck, whatever you may have.
Oh yes, a good container is always a good thing, so you can throw everything in there and not have to worry about it.
And this helps from sliding all over the place.
A funnel.
Funnel, as we mentioned earlier. At least one funnel.
Yeah, yes. One funnel.
Universal. Duct tape.
Does not work in holding cameras up. I'll
No.
advise you that now. Nor does it keep your...
It won't hold the camera up, and it's not going to keep a radiator hose from leaking.
Yes.
At least not to our experience.
Automatic transmission fluid.
Yes.
Clearly marked. It says ATF, automatic transmission fluid. Piece of baffling. I'm sorry. And then we go with the filter wrench. Oil filter wrench.
In case you have to do an emergency oil change. Of course, if you're going to do that, you might as well make sure you got like a case of oil and whatever filter you need.
Yeah, that's where you go to somebody like him who's can find it for you.
Yes.
And then we have Motor Earl.
Motor Earl. It's a pretty good idea to carry at least 1 quart of each of the fluids that you need.
And just to let you guys know, there are different types of Motor Earl out there.
Yes.
You have your single weights and you have your multi-weights.
Multi-grades, yes.
And your multi-grades are awesome for when you're running your engine hot.
Yes. Usually, if you have a newer car, refer to your owner's manual for whatever they recommend.
And usually it's best to use the recommended stuff.
Yes. And as we're also talking about, very important, especially on a very long trip.
Antifreeze.
Carry a gallon of this, or at least half a gallon, whatever's in there, so in case your car overheats. Or if you don't have antifreeze, the next best thing you can use in place of antifreeze would be
beer.
Or root beer, or whatever. Okay. It's this empty bottle. Okay. No, not beer.
Not when I started.
Yeah, really.
Water.
Carry at least a gallon of water in case you have overheating problems. most people may not likely have a gallon of antifreeze, but water is a universal cure-all. You could also use it as drinking water, depending on where you got it from. If you dipped it out of the toilet, I don't know if you'd want to be drinking it, but these we actually had to use on the Reno trip in order to get to Lake Tahoe.
To who?
To who? I don't know. Do you think we should go into chain setup? I think maybe that's a vital. It depends on where you're going.
Actually, I believe that when you purchase a set of chains, you go to someplace like Les Schwab's or someplace like that, they can recommend on how to use them.
These
most
particular-
boxes come in, they do have instructions on how to set them up.
Yeah, we actually had to use these on the Reno trip to go to Lake Tahoe, and which brings up another thing. You should probably bring on the trip if you think you might have a problem with snow or ice. Bring a pair of gloves.
Dr. Feelgood's in the house.
Yeah. Or no, not these kind of gloves. What am I thinking about?
Been over time.
Or
hit cough.
Or if you
play with the rubber chicken.
Yeah, or if you're like Kevin, use them to put on your head and play chicken. No, bring a pair of gloves to put on the chains. We found this out the hard way.
You can end up digging into your skin and it really hurts.
That, and it was very cold.
Very
we had gloves. Putting on chains in the snow when it's 40 below and I ain't got a truck and I don't. Oh. I'm off to the road.
Of course, I should have thought about bringing gloves, but I was going to Nevada. I didn't think about.
Yeah, we didn't think that we would have ran into snow. Well, what do we know? That's what we get for going in April, I guess.
And we made a lot of yellow snow too.
Yellows.
No.
Okay. Which
thing to bring
on that one? Yeah.
On the snow, cold, wet, freezing, stinking crap.
Is
ice scraper
or multiple ice scrapers.
Mine's bigger.
I can see that. Or in another thing.
As you know, for all those wives out there with the men out there, you can always bring a book.
something for your wife to read while you're out there freezing your butt off changing the tire.
This is your wife's book.
And some other stuff that would be a good idea to bring along, just in case. You never know what's going to happen.
Especially at night, you could usually bring something like a flashlight.
Flashlight, which doesn't work, but well, it's okay because it's just a
road trip.
It's just road trip, you know.
And we've always had some sort of technical difficulty in that.
Yeah, this thing has never worked.
That would be it.
Okay. So yeah, carry a flashlight just in case, especially if you're traveling at night and you could have any one of these problems, flat tire, need to put on chains, something like that.
Something stupid, yeah.
Something stupid, yeah. If you've got no light around. Another thing, important to have, at least if there's someone else to help you.
Please, carry your own jumper cables. I don't know how many times I've worked in the gas station. I got people coming up, do you have jumper cables?
Yeah. Really?
Yes. Every night over at Greenwood, do you have jumper cables?
No, I don't. And even if I did, I wouldn't let you use them.
We don't have jumper cables.
Or something even better, if you don't have cables, if you had something even better, which I don't have.
Would be a booster pack.
Yes, booster pack. Very helpful invention. Moving on to your, moving away from some of the car-related items that you may want to bring along. Some of the more personal essentials.
A map.
A map. In this case, being that we are in Oregon and most of our destinations have been in Oregon.
Took vacation up in Southwest Washington and Reno.
Yeah. We actually have a little bit better map, which we'll show you in a while when we go to the Nowhere Videos road trips essentials. As far as what we take.
So you break up the Bible.
The Bible?
The Bible. We refer to this as the Bible.
Yes.
This is
It's actually
Oregon and Washington Attractions Locations. It's one of the AAA tour books.
Yeah, it's actually the 1998 edition, I believe. It has served us well. It's been a great source of information for us as far as trips, ideas for trips, and
we even have certain sections highlighted for areas that for potential areas for us to go. Good example one I just opened up was Gold Hill.
in case you're ever in a situation you may need to spend the night somewhere, you need to have something done, have something on your car fixed,
Especially when you have it on a car fixed, it's totally unexpected.
Yeah, any other kind of emergency, or maybe you don't have any cash, or you're at some place they don't take a check, you've always got Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. And other things you're obviously going to want to take on a trip, such as food. Bring a cooler. You never know, especially if you're taking a family trip. Gotta have munchies. And what's the only thing you need to take on a trip as far as food? Doritos. Let's see, Doritos. Bring sandwiches and plenty of Gatorade.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So make sure you got food. Just a small example of shameless product promotion.
No, we don't abide by promotion.
We had to bring quite a bit on the Reno trip. We came prepared for that one. We had Gatorade, we had pop, sandwiches, Doritos, regular potato chips, all sorts of stuff like that. Beer, no. One important thing, especially if maybe you're traveling by yourself, good thing to bring, cell phone. And great for emergencies.
Excellent for emergencies. Even if you just keep it in the car.
And that way someone knows where you are, or someone can find you. You're out in the middle of nowhere, your engine's overheated or something, you're out in the middle of the woods, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
You forgot to bring your antifreeze, you forgot to bring your water. And beer.
And beer. And see, and you didn't listen to us, but you brought the cell phone. So you're okay, you can call someone to help you. It may take them 12 hours to get to you, but at least someone will get to you.
That's when you bring the munchies.
That's why you need the munchies. See, all this stuff links together. You need one, and one, and one. Okay. So those are the basic essentials. We went into one of the road trips, Nowhere Videos road trips essentials, being our quote-unquote Bible, the AAA tour book. Which brings us to where we are now. The actual setup that we do for road trips, that we do every single week for you folks. I wish, every week. As we were saying earlier, tripod's the first thing to go in. So it's a little bit.
Slide her in.
And the two wide-angled legs go on the seat, and the third leg goes down on the center console, or the hump.
Go fast.
Thus making our what we call 2 up, 1 down setup. Next thing to go in, camera.
Wait a minute. But we're using the camera.
This is a different camera. Actually, there's something we do first. I think you know what we're missing. This is one of these exclusively road trips deals. We have our wide-angle lens that we use for each show, and we we have a ring, adapter ring, so that the lens will fit onto this camera. That goes there, and then the lens in turn goes onto the camera itself.
This gives you that everything in the car and outside look.
Yes.
That's you find in traditional road trips now.
Yes. Everything distorted.
And then
Oh, and also we have a tripod adapter on the bottom, which allows us to quick release. And Dan has just become Jewish.
As we've also mentioned in previous episodes, that we do a upgrade. And ladies and gentlemen, this
Is one
is
of our
part
upgrades.
of the upgrade.
Yes. A
We
very
get to see firsthand all Todd's mistakes that he does with the camera.
My mistakes. What about the one where you reached back and shut off the camera? we never. Nobody ever saw that mistake. That one was not released. Okay. And that we're gonna move the camera so we can get a better look at that. Okay. Now the next part is the front setup, which includes our monitor. And actually, it's a little more involved, but
Little?
it makes a big difference in the production. Start by taking our monitor, and we usually place it down on the passenger side floor. And we have a cigarette lighter adapter. Let's see. Okay, it's actually a double or a doubling adapter. Looks like a Y. Plugs into the cigarette lighter.
Yes.
And now, in one plug, we have this cord, which runs out to our monitor, supplies power to the monitor. The other one goes to a DC to AC inverter, which actually has an outlet, a regular outlet. This one gets plugged into the camera. So this provides constant power for our camera, and we don't have to worry about running out of battery. We put a battery in there anyway because the entire show, as you probably well know, is not completely done in the car. So now, the camera power box, that cord runs back to the camera, gets plugged in. And now a second line, which is a video line. For this demonstration, we're going to use two separate pieces of cord because usually one cord isn't long enough, so we've coupled two together. One goes in the back of the monitor. The other one goes into the video output jack of the camera. Another important part of our show, actually a vital part of our show, is our microphone. We actually have
An adapter?
yeah, we have an adapter that we use an XLR cable. It's a professional audio cable. Plugs into the mic, and then we have an adapter that converts the XLR to a what you would call, well, a headphone type plug, or actually a quarter, not a quarter, mini. They call it a mini plug. And so that goes into the camera. That allow or whatever it happens to fit inside. And now we have a picture. So now we would normally be driving along here, and this is our monitor.
Remember, people, that's audio. That's video, not audio.
Yes. One thing this monitor does not do is allow us to monitor our audio. It's really cool because we're able to see exactly what the camera's seeing, which solves one of the problems that we've had in the past with a
Because
couple.
basically we get to see what you see, and dang, that's pretty scary. I'm sorry.
Well, it's like yeah, we can do that here, but yeah, it's one of the problems we had in the past. Is the camera was completely off, and it had been off for like the last 20 minutes, and we had no idea. So that is our setup for how we do road trips for you viewers out there. It's actually pretty simple, and we've as I said, because of our new additions to our setup, it allows us to do much
Greater
better,
things.
yeah, better quality program.
So now you know about road trip, start up, shut down, checking your car, what you should do, what you shouldn't do.
So that's Yeah, this is what we do. We've shown you what you folks should do when you go on a trip. Just a little informational service we're only too happy to provide. And as usual, we have no one running our camera. We're running it ourselves.
It's typical. We did it first season, so why not do it now?
Yeah. Why change? It's worked well, and since we fired Mr. Duct Tape, he just wasn't cutting the mustard.
No.
I mean, he stopped cutting the mustard. He started cutting the cheese. That's when we said, "You're out of here." So I guess that's gonna do it for this special edition of Road Trips, where Dan and I ask the question, "Are you road trip ready?" Hopefully this episode has helped you to be more prepared and a little enjoyable, and a little humor in there. We had a pretty good time. A little bit different for us, but it's good to do a different kind of show every now and then.
Yeah.
Different
It's all
kind of
based
trip.
on the same thing. I mean, we go out, we have fun, we act stupid.
and you're right there in the back seat to enjoy it all.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess that's gonna do it.
Don't it?
I guess that's gonna do it. Donut. That's a good idea. Donuts.